Hey, everybody, it's Jackie Golden here. I am the only life and business strategist that helps professional women and men turn their knowledge into a profit generating business using my 6 step bust to move proprietary system. And I am back again today to finish telling an unfinished story that I started for you over the last couple of weeks. And I'm very passionate about this topic because many people want to start a business, but the truth is they simply don't know how to get started and they don't have a product that they can deliver. The other thing is that they have no idea of what it could be. They don't know what the possibilities are. And so feel free to drop in the comment section any questions you might have about the information that I will cover, and I will answer them as time permits. If I run out of time, trust me, I'll get back to you with the answers. Now, in my last session, I shared with you how to bring out the best in you, and I gave you several tips for doing this. Now, I ended up ending the session by explaining my top 10 reasons for starting your own business. And I also share with you the reasons why I shared my story about having resurrected my own business. Now, that in itself makes for very interesting conversation. In short, I've been in corporate America long enough to know that when a company is challenged to meet their numbers for the year, the training organization is typically the first to go. It was in my last round of layoffs that let me know that once and for all, I had to do something different. I had to gain economic control of my life. I had to stop letting others make the decisions about what my future would look like. And so, in that last round of layoffs, although it looked really negative in so many ways, it was probably my salvation. In that last round of layoffs, I was asked to create a step by step guide of my unique systems and processes for doing my job, which was centered around management and training, or a training manager, if you will, and instructional design. And so I was asked to write that guide, step by step guide of my unique processes and systems, and to leave it with the person that was to assume my role. Now, that in itself is kind of interesting alone, but I won't stay there. I'll keep the story moving. Bottom line is this: they no longer wanted me, the company that is, but they wanted my special way of designing content. They wanted my special way of putting those things together and making complex concepts very simple for learners. And so that was the day. That was my turning point. It was the day that I learned that what I did was very valuable. And leading up to that point, it was very hard to see that, but I finally got a glimpse of what my contributions really meant in the marketplace. And so, to answer your question, I know you're probably asking this: did I leave my trade secrets with them? The answer is no, no. Okay, what I did do, however, was develop a system that allows me to generate income for me, all from the comfort of my own home, using what I already know, what I already love, and what I do. And so my system has positioned me to work a day job by choice and not demand. And if that is something that you want to do, you've been thinking about it, talking about it for years, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you haven't done it yet, you're in the right place today. If you did not get the opportunity to listen to my last session, I really, really encourage you to go back and visit my page, which is Jackie Golden, the Life and Business Strategist, to catch up to where we are today. I don't know how long I'm going to leave that video posted, so I encourage you to check it out today, at the latest within the next 24 hours. Now, what am I going to talk about today? Today, I want to share with you just how you can take your knowledge and build your own profit generating business using some time rich models. Okay. Taking what you already know, love, and do to generate income as a business, doing business as yourself. I'm going to teach you my 6-step process for doing this. Okay, when you hear it, you're going to go, wow, I never knew it could be that easy. Well, it's that easy. However, nothing happens unless you are going to implement. And the thing about implementation is that implementation brings about revelation. Okay. When it comes to completing a goal, whether professional or personal, you've got to first of all believe that you can do this thing. Let me tell you, it is very, very hard to produce a great outcome if you focus consistently on the things that you cannot do versus focusing on the things that you can do, or focusing on the possibilities of the things that you can do, those things you can accomplish. And Tony Robbins put it this way. He says that where your focus goes, your energy flows. Okay, where your focus goes, your energy flows. What that means is the thing that you allow to play on repeat in your mind. Okay, those are the things that you will end up doing 9 times out of 10. Now, I'm not sure if Tony is the first one to have coined this phrase, but he's the most recent individual that I've heard share that tip, and it stays with me. And whatever you allow to dwell in your mind consistently, whatever you have that's again on repeat, it's playing over and over in your mind, whatever you allow to pitch a tent in your mind and set up camp there, if you do that thing consistently long enough, you are going to act on it in some way, shape, or form, if only in your mind. Okay, so that thing that thing that you allow to sit on the shelf of your mind and you give attention to it on a consistent basis, you give life to it through thought activity, that thing is going to come alive in some way. So let me ask you this question. Are you ready for this? What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on what might go wrong, or are you focusing on what could go right? Okay, think about that. The same energy that it takes to think something very negative is the same energy that you can use to think of something very positive. So, another question, are you focusing on how you might fail instead of daydreaming and strategically daydreaming about what success you can have if you do the work, if you put in the time and not skip steps when someone lays out a process that has already been proven, a process where there's evidence that the system works when you do the steps in the order that they have been laid out for you. Okay, so we've got to learn how to see a thing in our mind's eye before we actually have it in the palms of our hands. This is a lesson that I've learned over time. It took me a minute to get here, but I'm here and I'm still on this journey. And that's what has enabled me to share these tips with you. You've got to walk around like you already possess that thing. Now, I'm not talking about being arrogant and being lifted up and puffed up in pride. No, I'm talking about being sure of this one thing, that the gifts and talents that have been given to you, they've been given to you for a reason. They are in you for a reason. Okay, so you've got to walk around like you already own it. I love the sound of that. In fact, it just charges me up as I say these things to you, that some things takes time to manifest. Okay, they don't just happen overnight. Maybe one or two people have experienced overnight success, but for the masses, it's a very systematic process. It's a very deliberate process, but it only happens if you continue to put one step in front of the other until you reach those goals. Now, if your goal is to become a successful business owner, you cannot afford to walk in negative faith. Okay, here I am again. Those of you who know me, I make up my own words, phrases, and clauses. All right. Conjunction, junction, what's your function? All right. I know I'm dating myself here, but let me stay focused. What is negative faith? Negative faith is believing that your situation will go wrong. Negative faith is believing that your situation will go wrong. And so, how do you combat this? All right. It's got to begin with the vision that you see in your mind's eye. And the beauty in this is that you get to choose. Okay. But you must ask yourself, self, okay, self, what does good success look like for my life? What does good look like for my life? What does good success look like for my life? And that is a very good question that you can probably answer. Drop an answer in the chat for me. Ask yourself that question and drop an answer in the chat box or the comment section. What does good success look like for my life and for my family? And because you see, I stress this because everybody's standard for success is very different. But let's just say that you want to build a business that generates X amount of income. Let's just start with a six-figure income. That's a good number. Okay. You want to generate a six-figure income in your first year of doing business consistently. Now, if that is the case, again, it's all about seeing, it's all about vision. You must see it first, or you will never, ever have it. Good success could mean that you no longer have to get permission, okay? You no longer have to get permission to take off time to spend with the ones that you love. And nobody gets to tell you how long you can spend that time with them. Good success might also mean that you want to travel when and where you desire. Okay? Nobody gets to tell you to come back early because there's something they need you to address on the day job. Good success means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And so for those of you who want to build that profit generating business, let's talk about this. Let's talk about why you haven't done so, or why so many have not done so after 10, 15, 20 years, that thing burning in your heart, burning in your soul to do, because that's how it was for me. I just didn't quite know how to get started again. Because you see, I already had a business, but because of the repeated layoffs through no fault of my own, through acquisitions and mergers and things of that nature, I kept parking and unparking my business, in part because I hated cold calling. And I just flunked at making the right connections to grow my business at the time. And so reason number one why many have not started that business is that they never, there's a prevailing theme here about seeing and thought life. They've never owned the thought of really possessing it in their minds first. It was a thought that came, it repeatedly comes to their minds, but they never take ownership of it. Okay, their want to, WANT hyphen want to foundation just wasn't big enough to support a multi-level building of thought. Okay, speaking metaphorically here, the foundation that they were laying was not big enough to support the dream or the vision that was in the heart. And here's what I know for sure. When you truly own the thought of something, it is almost impossible not to act on it, even if the steps you are about to take are the wrong steps. When that want to is right, and you get tired of being sick and tired over and over again, doing the same thing every single day, no variation, no room for your creative genius to manifest itself at the depth and level that you desire, you will get up off of that seat and bust a move and make something happen. That's just the way it works. The want to is the thing that provokes our will. And when you get the will to do and the want to do on the same page, great things can happen. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, let's talk about that. For me, I'm going to be quite transparent here. Reason number two that I did not get the business up and running the way I should have is simply I did not know what I could offer as my own product. I had tried affiliate marketing. I had tried real estate. I tried selling musical instruments. As a musician, I love music, and people told me that you should do something that you love when it comes to business. And that's true to an extent, but it's not the all in all solution here. Okay, you have to focus on the thing that really brings transformation, as if you want to build a good foundation for your business. I had a measure of good success as an entrepreneur, but none of the things that I just mentioned to you, they just simply did not satisfy. I did them because I could do them. Doing something because you can doesn't necessarily mean it is a thing that you should be doing. Let me say that again. Doing something just because you can does not mean that's the thing you were put in the earth to do. And I will put myself out on a limb and say, if we are not doing the thing that we have been purposed to do, the reasons that we were created to do them, we will walk around being very dissatisfied with life. Okay? Yeah, we'll be very dissatisfied with life. I think the solution to what ails our world is everybody getting in their places, finding out what their true gifts and talents are, and then operating in that space. And we will see great change in this world. So again, I actually had my own business, but the corporations that I consulted for, anything that I created for them, it became their intellectual property. Even though it was my creative genius behind it, it became their product or a service program that I created for them. So I didn't own it. It wasn't my own. And so that business that I built in the beginning was built on a traditional model. Okay. So even with that, there were some limitations. It was like I built that business like a traditional day job in which I traded time for dollars. And that was just wearing me out. Having to put in the massive number of hours, having to travel abroad, state to state, it just took its toll on me. And I no longer wanted to do that. And so maybe that's you. Maybe you do want to start your own business. You've been talking about it to family, friends, colleagues, anybody would listen for that matter. You may be tired of that traditional 9 to 5, even though many are working from home now, still having to answer to someone else about their goings out and their comings in. Maybe that's old for you now, okay? But you don't have a clue as to what you could do as a business for yourself. You don't know what product or service that you could sell and who on earth would buy it, right? So here's what I know. Here's what I perceive is that you're super smart. You're great at creating great impact for others as the consummate professional that you are. And again, you don't own what you do. Everything you do and create is primarily for someone else. You can't write your name on it and say, I own this. You can't do that. So let me put it to you this way. Singing a song that you did not write does not produce income for you in the way that it does for the person who wrote the song. That is, if the contract was written correctly. If that contract was right, it's the one who pens the words on the paper that really makes the big money off of the songs that have been written. You might sing the song and you might sing it very well, but you don't own it. There's a big difference here. So again, if that is you, I'm here today to help you figure this out. I'm going to leave some tips with you to get you started. And it begins with this: uncovering and simply rediscovering all that you bring to the table. You know, a lot of times we do things so much over and over and over again in a repetitive fashion that we become desensitized to the uniqueness of who we are, the special gifts and the special way that we do things. It becomes so natural for us that we just do it and we think nothing of it. We underestimate its value. We overlook that there is even value associated with it. Okay, but here's the deal. You cannot walk in false humility as you start to unfold these great things about yourself. You cannot walk in false humility as some might do when it comes to letting people know who you are, what you do, and the gifts and talents that you possess. The reason I can say it is because I've been there. Okay, I've been there. I've been the one who had 4 degrees, but when people would ask about my education, I wouldn't share with them the different degrees that I have earned. In fact, I wouldn't even mention it. My friends would have to say it before I did. Okay, but the truth of the matter is that I was proud to have accomplished my 4 degrees and other things that I've done in life, because I was one that many said wouldn't amount to anything for different reasons. Okay. I was told that I wouldn't be able to do this or that, or what I could not achieve because of factors that I don't even care to mention because they are totally irrelevant. And in saying that to you, it's important that as you uncover these things, you've got to be willing to allow, again, every good and perfect gift that God has put inside of you to come outside and play with the rest of the world. And so step number 1 in my process helps you to uncover and discover the rest of who you are and map your gifts, your talents, your knowledge, your education, your expertise to it becomes a solution to someone else's needs. You're going to map what you bring to the table to the need of someone else. All right. And you may be thinking that, well, Jackie, nobody wants what I know. Okay. Number one, how you know already that people have been wanting what you know. So why wouldn't they want it even at this measure? Okay. What you're going to find out is that as you begin to step out, it may surprise you at first, but people will just start coming toward you, putting a demand on what you bring to the table at a different measure. Okay. They have just been waiting for you to step into your place. They couldn't come before because you were not stepping in the shoes of an entrepreneur. They were waiting for the business owner in you to reveal itself. Okay, your ideal customer is going to be so attracted to you, and I'm talking in a business sense, but it will be triggered in many different ways. They may like the way you hold conversation with them. They may like the way you explain concepts that are complex in a very simple way. They may like the way you follow up with a sense of urgency when they reach out to you to get their questions answered. All right. It runs the gamut. Okay. But the deal is that they will come looking for you if they see in you what it is, a solution in you that will meet their problems, a solution that will provide them with what they want. Okay, now let's go on to another reason why many won't start their business. Okay, here's the answer to number two: they think too low. Okay, number two reason why many people won't take that leap and start the business. It's burning in their souls, but yet they say no to themselves every single day. They would rather work 40 years for someone else as opposed to taking the time to choose to go ahead and pursue that goal and learn how to do the necessary steps to manifest it. They're thinking too low. Remember, I told you that where your focus goes, your energy flows. I wasn't kidding. It's very true. Think about it. If you think low, you're going to get low outcomes because that is the level of your brain power, if you will. If you think high, then you're going to get some high outcomes. In fact, I want you to start encouraging yourselves to think so high that if you fall short, you fall still in a high place. Now, that's some high thinking. Now, I learned that from an old passage of scripture that talks about the fact that God will do exceeding abundantly above all that we could ask or think. Okay, think about it. If my thinking level is right here and he'll exceed that, I'm just going to think as high as my mind will let me go and just let him do his work. But I believe the action begins with the level that we choose to believe, the level that we choose to think. All right. So step number one is this. You've got to uncover all that you bring to the table, no matter how insignificant you may think it seems, no matter how small it might look in your eyes, you've got to bring it all to the table. Every talent, every degree, every time you underwent specialized education. That's what I was thinking of, or specialized training. Okay. Did you do some volunteer work that brought great results and transformation for people? Your expertise, no matter what it is, bring that to the table. Those things that create impact for other people. I call these things your you ingredients. Okay. Your you ingredients. I want you to know this. You already have what it takes. You already have it inside of you. Everything you need to create your very own product, package, or service that will sell on or offline. And this is what makes it all so easy, is that you're going to build these components using only what you know. And that's all you're responsible for knowing and building that package around. What it is you know. This does not require you to go back to school and get another degree. It does not require you to go and get 25 certifications, unless that's something you choose to do to expand the breadth of what you do. But you don't have to go and get those things in order to start now with building and launching a coaching or consulting business. You do not have to do that. Now, I want to make sure that you understand this also, that we're not going to approach this the way the masses are. What's going to set you aside from what everybody else is doing is that you want to make sure that whatever you include in your package, that it's value rich, it's value packed, it's content rich, it's solutions rich, it's transformation rich, it gets clients to their destinations. So as we complete this session, I want you to begin thinking about even all the different jobs you might have had in the past or things that you've done in your community. What is it that you do for people and they keep coming back to you for that same thing? You know, when people come to you or they've approached you and you start out with how to, or the questions they ask you start out with how to do something, or how do you do what it is that you do? What is it that you said to them? How did you answer them? What was the solutions that you gave to them? Okay, this is a trade secret right here. The consistent re-emerging, ever showing up questions that begin with how to. All right, you want to learn to listen out for questions that begin with how to. And when you hear that, your antennas should go up, because those are opportunities for you to create a solution, a package, okay, and then sell that. The answers are all around you. And when people approach you again with that question that starts with how to or how do you do, get your notepad out and start uh, journaling or taking notes of the times those things occur. Also note your response and do your very best to follow up and get feedback to see exactly what that transformation was. Because it is not necessarily the content of your program that you're going to be selling. It is the transformation that people are going to want from you. Okay, keep that in mind. Step number 2, man, here comes this thought again. You've got to be able to mindset properly. Okay, you've got to be able to mindset properly and understand that for every level of achievement that you want to obtain, the mindset has to be commensurate with whatever that next step or that next level of elevation is. So your mind diet, what you feed your mind, has to be right. Who you let speak in your inner ear has to be right. What you feed your mind on a daily basis and sometimes hourly basis determines if you will get to your place called there. Now, understand this. I'll be the first to let you know this because this really happens. There will be some days that it will feel like everything you're doing is failing. Nothing is going right. And you may begin to wonder why you got yourself into this. That time is going to come. But at the same time, it is important for you to pull out what I call one of my favorite minefields, meals. And it comes in the form of a book that's entitled What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. See if I can get, there we go. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And it's by Shad Helmstetter, author of 365 Days of Positive Self-Talk. And so this book allows me to make sure that when my thinking might want to sway into a place that it should not be, or the low level thinking, this boosts me right back up. Okay. In addition to the book of books, I will use supplemental tools like the book that I just shared with you. And so you must make sure, in order to make sure that you're mindsetting properly, you've got to make sure that you're surrounded by what I call upper thinkers. Upper thinkers are people that are of your same ambition level or higher. And they are people that will not permit you to pity yourself. Okay. Upper thinkers are people who are of your same ambition level or higher, right? We want to be surrounded by people that are smaller, that are smarter than we are. if we want to grow. Okay. And then part two of that definition for upper thinkers is that they are people that do not allow us to pity ourselves. Now, I recently, and I mean very recently, watched an interview of Cicely Tyson. She was asked a series of questions, but this is the one that really stood out for me. She was asked to give her response to her naysayers who had begun to criticize her for wearing different fashions and different hairstyles and ultimately cutting her hair almost totally off of her head. And they said, the naysayers said that she was dishonoring her race. And so Cicely replied in her very quiet and sophisticated way and said, and I'm going to paraphrase this for you. She said, Cicely said, I did not react because what they thought of me, it had absolutely nothing to do with me. That was their reaction. Okay. And then she ended it by saying, I do not own that. I think that is the most powerful statement that and lifestyle that anyone can live with that type of thinking. As it turned out, and as fate would have it, cutting her hair was really she had cut her hair because she was preparing for a particular role. And when she went on the set this particular day, she took the wrap off of her hair, and the director went, "Oh, Cicely." And she responded, and she said, "What? Is it my hair?" And the director said to her, "I wanted to ask you to cut your hair for this role, but I was afraid to ask you." Now, that could not have played out any better. I think it was just phenomenal that she chose to listen to her inner strength and not even respond to what the outward world had to say about what she had done for herself. And so these are the kinds of upper thinkers that you want to surround yourself with, okay? In my Eagles Jumpstart community, the individuals in my group refer to themselves as Eagles. And so in the community, it costs you nothing to join, but to be like-minded, to be an action taker, a go-getter, a go-giver, someone who's willing to share ideas and concepts, someone who is not threatened by people who might know more than you or might have accomplished what appears to be more in life. I wouldn't say it's more, it's just different. Okay, so those are the types of people we're looking for to join our community. People that look at you and treat you as if they were treating themselves because they regard themselves that highly in a very positive way. And so if you're interested, you can look us up on Facebook under Jackie Golden. The Eagles Jumpstart is the name of the group. Step number 3. Are you ready for this? Step number 3 becomes very easy because when you understand what your knowledge, education, your experience, your gifts, your talents, specialized training, volunteer work at church or at the local Y, all of these things add up to great value. And when your mindset is right, by way of reminder, when your mindset is right, you will take step number 3, which is to own your total worth and stand tall in your full value. Okay, step number 3 is to own your total worth and stand in your full value. Now, let me set the record straight on this. There are some requirements. In order to do this, number 1, you got to be okay with not dimming your light. And I get a little emotional about this one because I had mastered dimming my light until my coach created an environment where it was okay for me to just let my light shine and not have to turn that switch down, dim it down for anybody. Okay. Everybody needs a space like that. And so this step requires you to be okay with all of you, mistakes, imperfections, all of you, talents, gifts, everything you bring to the table. You've got to be okay with it. Okay. Never dim your light because others are intolerant of the brightness of your light. Don't do that. Promise me you'll never do that. Okay. Write in the chat, I promise, and I'll know exactly what you mean. Never dumb down all of who you are just to make somebody else feel good. And that includes family, that includes friends, and even foes. Okay. You are who you are. So walk in it and be okay with walking in it. When you do this, you kind of ease into step number 4 with greater ease, and that is to evaluate or to price what you bring to the table, not because of money, but based on the transformation that you know you can bring, and not, hear me on this particular point, not, you don't base the pricing of your products based on what you think others will pay you. That's not how it works. Think about it. The individuals that you'll be coaching or servicing, they are going to leverage your 10, your 15, your 20 years of expertise, training, and professional experiences. They are going to take what you teach them and multiply it exponentially. Okay. So this is your opportunity to present yourself at the level that you deserve. And you know what that is. If you don't know in full, you have an idea, but then I'll teach you a formula that will help you to assign to your worth dollars and cents. Okay. So when you price your product or your service, you're going to base it again on the transformation. Okay. On the what? Say it with me. The transformation that you bring, not the information alone that you will distribute. Okay. Now, I have a process that walks you through how you can assign the value to your product or service. And when I teach this step and I get tickled, some of my clients get angry with themselves. But you know what? Let me just talk about me. When I learned how to do that, when I learned how to assign a numeric value to what I brought to the table, I got really angry at myself because I realized all the money that I had left on the table, even through negotiating for salaries. I went for what I thought they would pay me, not what I deserved or what I knew my value was. Because what we think we deserve is sometimes a little different um, than what it is we truly are worth. Okay. I know it's a fine line between the two, but it you can think about that in your spare time. They got angry, clients got angry when they learned this formula. I got angry when I learned the formula because we realized that we had been giving our brilliance away. The very thing that we've been looking to external sources to give and to put in us, we discovered they were already in us. We just didn't know how to pull it out of us. We didn't know how to package it properly. We didn't know how to position ourselves in the marketplace as the obvious choice. We did not know how to position ourselves in a way that people will recognize their need through the voicing of how we present what we can do for them. Because a lot of times clients don't know what they need. They only discover what they truly need after they have an encounter with you. And that encounter may come through a phone call, it may come through an ad, It might come through a webinar. Okay, they're already getting to know you before they ever meet you face to face or voice to voice. All right. So it's important, once again, to make sure that you bring everything to the table, uncover it all. We waste nothing. Okay. And then we assign a monetary value to it. Now, to give you an example, let's say you make currently $100,000 as your base salary on your full-time job. That means, if I did the math correctly, is that you get paid about $48 per hour based on a 2080 hour rule per year. Okay, 2,080 hours at $48. And then let's say you create your own coaching or consulting program based on your expertise, your knowledge, gifts, and talents, everything you bring to the table. Okay. Even the one day that you coach soccer and you did it for maybe a week, that's an experience, depending on how you treat it, could be something that you can incorporate into what you do, if it indeed brought about transformation for the kids that you were coaching. All right. Everything, there is room for everything. I'll leave it there. In this example, let's say you coach your clients using a one-to-many model, and that simply means you perhaps bring, let's say you have 10 clients and you coach them on a Friday. You invite them all to a weekly coaching call where they can come and get their questions answered. Okay. And they can share maybe something they encountered that will enlighten and inspire everybody that's on the call. All right. And so let's say on the high end, you coach them that week, okay, once a week. That would be 52 calls at 1 hour per year. I'm not factoring vacation. I'm just going to do it as a solid year. So 52 weeks in a year, one call that lasts an hour or maybe hour and a half, 2 hours on the high end. That would be 104 hours on average that you would coach your clients. Okay. Now let's say that you price your program or service at $2,500, and we're going to call that a premium offer. Typically, my clients don't sell anything under $2,500 as their primary offers. Okay. And I encourage you to do the same, because if your goal is to get that 100,000, it's quicker to get there if your product starts at $2,500 as opposed to selling something for $29.99. Okay, you need a lot of people to buy whatever you're selling or offering at that rate. And so, assuming that package is $2,500, to generate your $100,000, all you need is 40 people to say yes to you. Just 40 people. Okay. And in return, what they get from you is that you'll support them at the highest level. And then, instead of coaching or working 2,080 hours on your regular job to generate the 100,000, now you're only working 104 hours, serving 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay. That number can be unlimited. You can have an unlimited number of clients, but you can serve them all with the same amount of time. Imagine that. If you price your program or service at 5,000, you already know, put the number in the chat. All you need is how many people to say yes to you? Only 20 people. Okay, here's an easy one. If you price your program or service at $10,000, how many people do you need to say yes to you? Okay, only 10 people. All right, 10 people to say yes to you. You will have generated at a minimum the same money in 104 hours as opposed to putting in 2,080 hours. Okay, that's the difference that my program will make in your life if you apply it and do the steps in order, step by step, step by step. So by the time, okay, I teach this time-rich model to my clients, they're happy again. And they get really excited when we get to step number 5. And step number 5 is this: we execute or we implement a sales process that gets their product or service into the marketplace. Okay. You see, it's not enough to build the product and just expect it to fly off the shelf, right? Or just fly off into the hands of your ideal client and you don't do the work. It just doesn't happen that way. But the joy in my process is that it's built, it's a system that once you set it up, it does the heavy lifting for you. Okay. You get to spend your time on tasks that nobody else that you hire around to support you. You get to focus on those things. All right. And you get to focus on servicing your clients and providing them with great content, great transformation. And having that sales process put in place the way I will teach you really frees you up to really focus on the majors and not the minors. Not that the minors are not important, but it's not where you need to spend your time. Okay. Step number 6, we're almost there. Hang in there with me. Step number 6 is you find buyers. Now, I told you before, I'm not into cold calling, so I like to look at this instead of saying, find the buyers. Better yet, the buyers are going to look for you. Okay, so I call them buyer investors, and they look for you as you are already positioned in the marketplace. And through that sales process that you put in place, that's what's going to bring them to you. And if you do it right, all right, if you do it right, not only will they come to you, but they will come to you and they will ask you for the sale as opposed to you asking them for the sales. All of my clients come to me and they ask me for the sale. Can you imagine that? I can, because I hate cold calling. And that was the solution for me. That system that I have in place literally gets clients to me and they ask me for the sale. So that is how you can turn your already existing knowledge into a profit generating business. Number 1, you got to first believe. That's I'm going to say that's number 0. All right. Then you got to make sure that you're mindsetting properly to support the vision of the business that you want to bring life to. Next, you got to make sure that you own your total worth and stand in your full value, not some of it, but all of it. And it is knowing those things that you have uncovered in the discovery process that's going to help you have the confidence to even be positioned in the marketplace as the one, the one to come to if you want X, Y, and Z done. You position yourself as the expert of what you know, and you have evidence to prove that you do what you say you do. All right. Next step is, now that you know what all you bring to the table, you're very clear on the transformation and how you're going to deliver your content, your programs, your services to clients. You've got to price it just right. Okay. You've got to evaluate it just right. And that comes with a formula. All right. It's a very simple formula that I use that helps you. Number one, we've got the goods here. And on this hand, we show you how to appraise it properly. And that simply means to assign its worth in dollars and cents. And then step number 5 is to execute. All right. Implement. Implementation brings about revelation. And for those of you who are saying, but I know step number 1, but what do I do next? Well, the process, the product and package that you create, and as you deliver it, it's going to tell you exactly what you need to do next. As you pull all the pieces together, you'll begin to see very clearly what your next move should be. Okay? It You won't have to dream it up. It tends to manifest itself. You see, if you don't take step number one, step number two has no reason to show up. And so again, I say implementation brings about revelation. Okay. And then the final thing is that, or the final step is that we get buyers to come to you and ask you for the sale. That's my 6-step process in turning education, experience, brilliance into a profit generating business. And so I hope this session has supported you. I've enjoyed sharing with you. And if it has supported you, do me a favor, okay? Like, share, hearts me up. Like, share, and hearts me up. Share this information with someone that you know has been trying to figure this thing out, but they have no idea of where to get started, okay? And then next, I want you to write in the chat at least one point that resonated with you, okay? Just one point. If you would like to go deeper into how my system works and you want to actually build your own business using what you already know, okay, then I want you to join me at my upcoming conference. The sooner you sign up, the longer you'll have to preview and consume the content so you can very carefully and clearly write your questions out and bring them to the session and get every single one of them answered. We will be meeting daily via Facebook Watch Party. Yeah, I love this tool. Facebook Watch Party. We'll consume the content together and then we'll interact. We'll share ideas. We'll share aha moments. We will come back later in the evening. Okay, there's a morning session and an evening session. We'll come back via Zoom. Okay, Zoom live. And that's where we're going to host our question and answer session. Okay, any questions you have about the content that we will have covered during the day, we're going to address those questions, okay, in the evening, in our evening session. I'll post the link for you, okay, so you don't really have to go searching for it. I'll post a link after the session here, and you can click that link to get more information. But before I let you go, are there any other questions? Any questions before I let you go? Write them in the chat for me and I will happily answer them. Are there any questions before I let you go? Don't forget, the earlier you sign up for the Eagles Encounter Conference, the longer you'll have to consume the information, write out your questions, and bring them to the session. And I will answer every single question before we end the evening. Okay, on that note, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for facing by, and thank you so much for lending me your ears. This webinar would be nothing without your presence. So I thank you for being present. Have a great, great rest of your evening. Take care, everybody.